We are taught from childhood that some things are right and others wrong. This early training stays with us all our lives and is confirmed or modified by the pressure of public opinion. No mysterious outside force is required to explain this.
Please. Yes, I agree with the questioner that no mysterious outside force is required. But the statement as has been made is far too simplified and does not relate to the facts of life. The question of morality is a very important and serious question which has been taken up for the last thousands of years by various scholars at various times and philosophers and religious leaders, etc. And so far mankind has not been able to agree on one definition of morality. And the religious people all insist that morality emanates from the concept of God, number one. Number two, it just does not evolve from the concept of God, but it descends from God in clear injunctions, and without that there is no base for morality at all. And the philosophers say that long human experience, very long human experience, has gradually taught them to live in a manner as to be the most beneficial for the social animal aspect of man. Because man can't live alone by himself, there has to be a give and take. So that give and take has been learned by man through a very long historical experience. How long that is, how deep rooted it is yet to be ascertained. Now these are the two philosophical explanations of the concept of morality, but they are not all. If you go to Marx for an explanation of morality, he would reject it on the basis that morality emanates from a fraud consciously committed upon mankind and the poor section of the mankind. He sees morality as an organized crime like mafia, which results from some so-called religious people who were in fact the agents of the capitalist society of the time, bourgeois as they're called, and they wanted consciously to deceive people and make them forget their rights. And in the name of morality, their lives were ordered in a manner that they would be told to forgive and to do this and to be humble and never to think of standing up to face the people who had misappropriated the means of livelihood and everything and the sources of power, so that they could not see eye to eye with them and demand their rights. So morality was invented, and all religion is hocus pocus, and it is just a result of this unhealthy union between some fake religious leaders and the wealthy people of the time. So this is another definition of morality and how it came into being. And as far as Lenin goes, he has slightly deviated from Marx by emphasizing that of course morality is very important. Without morality nothing can be done. But it should be defined correctly. The morality according to communism is to be defined as anything which is promotive to the cause of communism and is good for the ultimate end of communism is moral. And that is all what morality is according to Lenin. If hundreds of thousands of people are destroyed and tortured to death looted or their properties burnt out or whatever you do to them, if it is considered by some communist regime that it helps communism ultimately, according to that definition it would be moral. And yet there are others who are anarchists, and they define morality as just nothing. They see, why should we follow any code of life at all? We are individuals, we have no afterlife as it is claimed by the religious people, and so no accountability. When we are not accountable, if we are caught, we will be eaten up by the powerful forces. If we are not caught, then let's enjoy and run away with it, get away with it. So this is the concept of whatever you call it, moral code or immoral code, but still it will be treated under the title of morality. So they say this is morality. So when you reach this stage, the last which I have mentioned, then you immediately realize that morality has definitely something to do with the concept of God. Because without accountability, morality does not mean anything. Morality loses hold on mankind. And this is what was also well understood by Lenin. There was a compatriot of Lenin who wrote a book on morality. He considered that morality is necessary for running any system. No system, however perfect it may be, can be effectively run and implemented without morality. That was his concept, so he wrote a book. Lenin in return wrote a very strong criticism of his pleading the cause of morality, and the name of the book is Imperial Criticism or something. I remember it, I read it about 10-15 years ago, so I think this is Imperial, I remember very clearly, Imperial Criticism or something. But it's a biggish book in small print, and it is entirely devoted to rebut that communist leader who thought it fit to plead the cause of morality in the communist world. And the sentence I have quoted has been taken from that particular book, that this is the definition of morality, and beyond that we don't know any morality. Now, his argument is particularly directed towards God or against God. What he says is that don't take this innocently. Whenever you talk of morality, there cannot be a morality true in the sense of as it is understood by the world without the concept of God. So whether you start with God, you will end up with immorality. And if you start with God, you will end up in morality. If you start with morality, you are bound to end up in God. So he understood it much better than the questioner has. And the questioner does not know the history of morality. When we come across the concepts of morality, morality always starts from some religion. And basically the fundamental concepts of morality are the same despite the fact that these religious sources never came into contact with each other. I mean, I mean many religious sources of the olden time who never came into contact with each other had the same concept of morality. Fundamental morality of man remains the same, and it has been taught by religion. So to say that morality was taught, it evolved automatically and some people gave us the ideas, of course, if we are taught something in the childhood, we grow up with that. But whatever moral concept we find in the world, without fail it has a religious history and a religious origin. So Lenin's prediction came to be fulfilled later on, although he dispelled morality from his country on the plea that it is bound to lead you to God, which we can't tolerate, because then our system will lose its justification. Marx and Lenin were very highly intelligent people, and they were true to themselves, there is no doubt about it. So they